Why do I gravitate towards games that make me cry? I mean, I don't like crying. I don't know anybody who really does. But I find that I regularly play games that I oftentimes know are going to make me cry. So grab your favorite mug and let's maybe look for some answers to that. Sometimes the concept of a game, from its description to, if I'm really lucky and the game has one, its demo, I kind of know if the game is going to make me cry or emotional. And then I willingly play that game. Maybe you already have an idea as to why someone might do that to themselves, but stay with me on this. I have 3 games that I've played relatively recently that each show me one main reason why I think people gravitate towards playing games that might make them cry, or at least why I might. My Little Puppy is a game that I've talked about before, but when I talked about it last, it wasn't fully out yet, and the only thing that I had played from it was its demo. Now that it's fully out, I can confidently say that it met and exceeded my expectations. This is a game that I knew would make me cry because I had this reaction just playing the demo. Oh my god! This is also the first reason why I think people gravitate towards games that are going to make them cry. And I will say that it took me a while to play this game because I knew the reaction I was going to have while playing it. And considering that this has been a year that has been very challenging and full of loss for my family and I didn't exactly want to put myself into a sad headspace intentionally. But playing this game in its entirety reminded me of the promise that the game made from the very beginning. While this is a game about loss, it has a secondary motive to it. While initially promising that you will be sad through the missing of a person and longing to be reunited, this game also promises something that we don't always get, which is being reunited. And this is the first reason, the emotional promise that the game makes. And I do recommend staying all the way through the credits once you have played this game, and no, I am not sorry. And you will understand that when you do it. My Little Puppy is a game that I knew would make me cry, and I'm going to talk about a game that I did not expect to make me cry, which is Split Fiction, a co-op game about 2 writers with vastly different writing styles and vastly different personalities, who need to learn to overcome their differences to fight the person and machine that is trying to steal their ideas, which doesn't really sound super sad or cry-worthy. And you would be correct if you only played the first half of the game. Getting to know Mio and Zoe, you start to learn about what brought them to where they are. And you start to learn how they thread themselves into every story that they tell. And I will say these 2 scenes specifically impacted me the most while I played.
Conquering your inner demons. Having a friend. Friend? You mean best friend? Don't push it. Zoe! Where are you? Neo! Help! Stay with me! I can't take much more! Hold on, Zoe!
And while this was a game that took me by surprise emotionally, it really does showcase my second reason, which is also the heart of this channel: stories. Stories show us that we aren't alone in the things that we experience. Stories show us new perspectives that we might not have thought about before. And stories have the power to entirely shift your worldview. It's my belief that there is nothing more powerful than a story. And Split Fiction was a story that fully swept me up in a combination of its characters, its writing, and its game mechanics. Last game and reason I found while I was thinking over my experience playing The Berlin Apartment, which is actually a game that didn't make me cry like I thought it would. The Berlin Apartment has a concept and a demo that when I first played it and read about it, I definitely thought was going to be a game that, once I got my teeth into it fully, was going to make me cry. With a premise that is very reminiscent to, if, like me, you grew up watching HGTV, a show called If Walls Could Talk, because it showcases the many stories that happen within the walls of one apartment. Starting in 2020, a father who is renovating the apartment brings his young daughter with him when her school goes on lockdown due to the pandemic, which is another story that will inevitably leave its mark on this apartment. We are told the stories of the people who lived in this apartment before as we find their relics by tearing up the floors and knocking down some old tiles. And it was something that I was just so captivated by. It's the richness of lives lived that we may never get to know about. While some of the details might be made up or assumed, the stories are based on the history that the apartment saw both in the world itself and through the notes and pictures and ornaments that are found while we're renovating. And I honestly was shocked that I didn't cry as often or as much as I thought I would. And in fact, the story that made me cry is one that completely caught me off guard. It wasn't a story that I was expecting at all.
Oh, look! How wonderful! Someone is as festive as we are. That was painted for Mom and Dad's wedding. She really liked it, but she cries now when she sees it. Apparently, the previous tenant gave us this as a gift, but we never used it.
But crying in response to this game brought about something entirely different, which was my curiosity. It made me wonder about the world around me. And it reminded me that history is not as far off as we like to think it is.
The SR hoodlums have been in the neighborhood a lot of late. They are becoming more violent. These are spreading faster than the Spanish flu. There it was, my cinema. Just this side of it is still difficult to bear even now.
This curiosity is a part of the third reason, which is that crying isn't always sad, but it is always cathartic. And it is something that we do when we are impacted by somebody or something. So while the reasons why someone might choose to play a game that will make them cry or emotional might vary person to person, at least I know the reasons that I will are these three things: the emotional promise that a game gives, its story, and the emotional payoff. So I know that I will continue to pick games that might make me cry, but it is because they are so worth the experience. But what about you? Do you intentionally choose games that you know might make you cry, or do you tend to avoid those? And if you are wanting a game that's maybe a little less emotionally charged, I have got a great pick for you to check out right here. And with that, save your games, water your plants, and I will see you next time.